Is enlightenment a spontaneous process? The question is, does enlightenment happen spontaneously like waking up from sleep? The answer is both yes and no. While it is true that enlightenment could occur suddenly, generally, it requires a lot of effort. You have to purify your mind, concentrate and focus. It involves Vedantic training, which includes studying sacred texts, listening to teachings, reflecting on them, and meditating. Devotion also plays a role, and you might repeat mantras or engage in selfless acts to help cultivate inner transformation. This ongoing effort is a moral struggle, as you strive to be truthful, self-disciplined, and loving. However, there is a spontaneous element to it. At the final stage of enlightenment, when the breakthrough happens, it feels like grace or a sudden realization, like catching something that was always there but couldn't be grasped before. The effort you put in prepares you to receive it. Swami Vivekananda expressed it beautifully, saying, "All we can do is polish the mirror." The mirror is your mind, and polishing it through meditation, ethical living, and studying Vedantic teachings allows you to reflect the truth. But remember, the reflection itself comes from the truth. It's not something the mirror creates on its own. In the same way, enlightenment is not entirely our effort, but our preparation allows us to catch the moment when the truth reveals itself. How do enlightened and ordinary people see the world? The enlightened person sees the world differently, not because the world changes, but because their understanding of it shifts dramatically. Imagine a mirage in the desert. An ordinary person may think it's water and try to drink it, but the enlightened person sees it for what it really is, a mere illusion. They understand that the world, while appearing real, is an expression of Brahman, the ultimate reality. Swami Vivekananda, while traveling in Rajasthan, experienced this himself when he mistook a mirage for water. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was not water, but the illusion of water. Similarly, an enlightened person sees the world in its true form. They recognize everything as Brahman, but this understanding is not intellectual, it's direct and experiential. They still see the same things we see, but with a deeper perception, understanding that everything is a manifestation of the divine. A monk I once met explained it in a simple way. He pointed to a window, a tree, sunlight, and flowing water, and said, "This is it." It was his way of saying that everything around us, including the mundane, is an expression of the divine. The enlightened one doesn't see two separate things. They see everything as part of one divine reality. The difference lies in perception. What we see as ordinary, the enlightened see as divine. Do enlightened beings have special powers? Another common question is whether enlightened beings possess extraordinary powers such as seeing the past, present, and future, or performing miracles. The straightforward answer is, not necessarily. Enlightenment doesn't grant special powers in the way we might expect. An enlightened person doesn't gain supernatural abilities like a superhero. However, the deeper connection to reality can sometimes result in abilities that seem extraordinary to ordinary people. These powers aren't the goal of enlightenment, and in fact, they can be a distraction. In the yogic tradition, there are practices that may lead to the development of special powers, but they are considered secondary to the pursuit of spiritual growth. Many enlightened beings caution against using these powers for personal gain, as they can lead one away from the true path. There's a story of a monk who, upon gaining a miraculous ability, was reprimanded by the Buddha, who cautioned him against using such powers, emphasizing that they could hinder spiritual progress. In the end, true enlightenment is not about gaining special abilities or powers, but about seeing the world and oneself in the light of divine truth. It's about realizing that everything, even the seemingly mundane, is an expression of the ultimate reality.